Of course, a lot of fun games this past weekend, so there's not a shortage of things for us to talk about.
Boy, isn't that the truth, Mark? And yeah, we've overcome some technological difficulties, as they like to say. But yeah, here we are. Glad to be back with you. And boy, you're right, Mark. This is the time of year that we've waited on. This is the time of year that we've been waiting on. Not that the first half of the season didn't certainly give us a lot of action and excitement, Mark, but there's nothing like region play, and especially with the regions that we're going to talk about tonight. From 7-5A with Gainesville, Milton, Roswell. And then you got 2-5A with Thomas County Central and Mark. It looks like Houston County could be the team coming out of that region. Although you can't count Lee County out, of course, but there's still a lot of things up in the air. And then, of course, you got Region 1-6A that I mean everybody is kind of wanting to talk about. So.
Yeah, certainly. I think we'll begin to see get some clarity as we get into region play. Depending on what you want to talk about first, or which region you want to tackle first. But hey, Phil, I'll leave that up to you. You want to start out with 5A?
Classification or yeah, we do that. We
Yeah,
start with five
yeah,
A.
yeah, yeah. We can start as far as down here in our end of the state in 5A. I mean, I think still to me, Thomas County Central is probably leading that bunch. I think they'll be the team to beat. But I do agree. It looks like Houston County has a very good team. It just seems like Coach Edwards, man, he just reloads, right? Um, but
Yeah.
I think when you now look at the way Thomas County Central played Lee County, and I tried to watch that game, I couldn't find it anywhere. I listened to some of it, but I believe a lot of Lee County's yards came on, a couple of plays. But either way, Thomas County Central won that game. Lee County's a very good team. They have a lot of good athletes, so I think it's a big game for Thomas County Central, and they just keep going.
Well, they really do. We thought that last year might be the year for Thomas County Central. They came up a little bit short in the semifinals, as did Lee County. And Mark, what does that say for both those regions, 2-5A, 7-5A, between those two regions, having three of the four teams in the semifinals of 5A last year, Mark? And then, of course, in the end, it was Milton that won its second consecutive state title. Now, Mark, I think a lot of people right now are just kind of pushing Milton off to the side, and I think that is a very dangerous thing to do.
Well, now we were talking about South Georgia. I certainly wouldn't push Milton off to the side. I'll stay with what I've been saying. It's Milton, Gainesville, and Langston Hughes up in that area. Right now, I think if you had to look down here, it's Thomas County Central, Houston County, and then you're gonna have a variety of teams vying for that third position, if you will.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think you're right. But of those, what, five or six teams that you just mentioned there, I mean, it's almost like flip a coin. You know what I mean? And I know on our Friday night show, there were some folks. And by the way, right now, I don't have access to any of our incoming comments. So, Mark, I'm going to let you kind of steer us on that. And I'm sure we'll get some good insight and input from people because I know Friday night they were giving me potential playoff matchups, Mark, that, if the favorite teams take care of business in their opening round, second round games in the playoffs, we could be looking at some really good potential matchups.
For sure, for sure. And yeah, hey, I'll do the best I can with these comments. Let me, of course, Obadiah Farley, CCC fan. Obadiah's got to be happy this year. And Matthew Gay checking in, Justin Fletcher, Heather Knight Rodriguez, Trip Block, our buddy Trip Block, man, what a great guy. Evan
Trip, what's up,
Reeves,
buddy?
Stephen K. Wynn from Lee County. So got the Lee County faithful in here. Of course, they're going to be sticking behind Lee County. Hey, Lee County's going to certainly make the playoffs, and anything can happen.
That's right. And again, I wouldn't put, that's what I'm saying with Lee County. Remember, Lee County and Milton played in one of those semifinal games last year. Yes, Lee County lost a good bit. Yes, Milton lost a good bit. Mark, both Milton and Lee County, if you think about it, they lost really the heart and soul of their teams. And I'm talking about each team. With Milton, you lose Luke Nickel, your quarterback, all everything quarterback, and then you lose TJ Lester, the running back. Guy was so amazingly slippery and elusive. And then you look at Lee County, Mark. You lose Weston Bryan, the quarterback, and then you lose, of course, who's Monty Cromont. So both teams, there's a lot of similarities in what they lost. And I think so far, if you take a look at which team has responded better, Milton, Mark, has gone through 3 different quarterbacks. And right now, technically, they're on their 3rd string quarterback. But
credit, my hat's off to Coach Reeves. I don't really know how he's been able to maintain that. I really don't. But they keep winning. Of course, also Phil, I know we got a couple of folks asking for any update on Coach Fabrizio. Look, I think everybody knows. Unfortunately, Coach Fabrizio made a bad decision. He got a DUI Saturday night. Nobody was hurt. Look, we all make mistakes. I think, I'm gonna. Me personally, show Coach Fabrizio some grace. He doesn't have a track record of this kind of behavior. He's been a great coach. Certainly done a lot for the Lee County program. So, hey, I hope he gets everything squared away and does the things he needs to do and come back strong. I know he's taking a couple of weeks off.
Yeah, and Mark, I'm glad you brought that up. Look, I stand firmly behind Coach Fabrizio. I think Mark said it best. Look, he made a mistake, and he acknowledged that he made a mistake. And I thought that his statement, Mark, I thought he took full accountability, and that's what I think it takes. But if you own up to it, you do the right thing. I made a mistake. I'm going to work to make myself better. I'm going to remove myself from the position right now. All those things, Mark, he has done. So that's why I salute him, and I think he's handled it the right way. And look, you can't put the toothpaste back in into the tube, but you can certainly try to make things smoother and easier as you move forward. And I think Coach Fabrizio is doing everything in his power to make sure that he's going to do whatever it takes to right this thing.
Yeah, again, we all make mistakes, so it's an unfortunate thing. The difference here is, though, is my mistakes don't get plastered all over the internet, and everybody's talking about them. So, man, that's tough. These coaches are in the limelight at all levels now, high school, college, and pro, obviously. And one little thing happened, boom, it's out there, and people will pounce. But look, nobody was hurt. I mean, at the end of the day, Coach, if anybody's hurt, it's Coach Fabrizio hurt himself, and so he'll learn from this. And I look for him to come back. There's no evidence of any kind of pattern of this behavior. But look, we don't always know the pressure these coaches are under, so we all cope with that in different ways.
Yep. So again, I'll let Mark speak on behalf of the company. I personally certainly stand behind Dean Fabrizio 100%. We've enjoyed a great relationship with him as a company. I've enjoyed a great relationship with him personally. Mark, I know you have too. So that's kind of my official statement and my kind of my view on it.
Yeah, well, if we were standing here talking about a pattern of that would be different. Look, and I wish him the best. I hope he comes back and that he'll learn from this and move forward. And so certainly support him and what he's doing. Look, he's a great coach. He's another one of those coaches that we need in South Georgia. I think we have a great group of coaches right now in South Georgia. And of course, I'm a little biased to South Georgia, right? We talk about all teams and all areas, but he'll be back. He'll be back in time to take his team into the playoffs.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So anyway, if anything does develop or change, we'll certainly keep you guys aware. I have been in touch with Dean Fabrizio, and again, we have passed along our best wishes to him. So, but if anything changes, we'll certainly pass it along to you guys and let you know what's going on, what's the latest. Speaking of Lee County, Mark, and speaking and staying in 5A, into 5A. Boy, they had a good one last Friday night at Thomas County Central, and of course it was Thomas County Central coming out on top. But I think a lot of people were surprised. I think of how tight this game was. Now, some may say, "Well, no, it wasn't surprising to me at all," because I thought a lot of people say that Lee County had a chance, and I thought they did too. But um, I just thought that Lee County may not be. How should I put it? Let me rephrase that. I thought Thomas County Central may jump out on them, take advantage of some of the shortcomings that Lee County's got this year, most notably that quarterback situation I just talked about. But give Coach Fabrizio and Lee County credit, Mark. They were in this game, they hung around, and really, I'd say the game wasn't in doubt, or the game was in doubt until maybe like the fourth quarter, midway through the fourth quarter, until it looked like Thomas County Central had a comfortable lead and they were going to win the game.
Yeah, but I will say, as I mentioned earlier, and I'm almost positive, Lee County, got two long touchdown runs that, a lot of the yards came on two plays. Now, give credit to them. They have those athletes that can make those plays. But I think Thomas County Central is just too balanced. They have a lot of depth. Again, I think they're going to be hard to contend with.
I agree. I agree 100% with that.
Yeah, but I
So,
mean, if you
yep.
have great athletes on your team, you can win a ball game. You can certainly
Mm.
stay in a game. So, uh, you know, uh, I don't think it's anything unexpected. It was a hard fought game there for it. Doesn't matter how you get the points as long as you get them. Whether it's a long run or a long drive, it doesn't matter. The bottom line is you get the points. So uh, Lee County will be able to make some noise. They'll have an opportunity to do that.
Yeah. And so in 5A, the ITG next top 10, we have Milton on top, followed by Thomas County Central, followed by Hughes, number 3, Houston County at 4, Roswell is 5, followed by Gainesville, Lee County, Brunswick, they're for the 5th, 6th, 7th teams, and the 8th team, Sprayberry at 9, and Sequoia at 10. So, yeah, again, I'd say the top 7 of those top 7 teams, Mark, I think could be in it right at the end.
Yeah, yeah, you're exactly right. And listen, I'll Phil get to a couple of these comments. I mean, I'm not as good at this as you are, being trying to get all this in. But Terrence Johnson said if you watch the game, then you would know there was no point in the game where you can feel like they had a chance, meaning Lee County. Uh, Michael
Well,
Lotta.
yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, no, and I think Terrence has mentioned all their, they had two long touchdown runs. I think TCC was on top of that game. Michael Lotta, do you think Rush will be up for the Lee County job? Go Big Red. Hope you're having a good day, Mr. Phil and Mr. Mark. Well, I didn't know Lee County job was open, so I don't think Rush is in that conversation. Coach Fabrizio is just going to be gone a couple of weeks. Look, again, let's make sure we show some grace here. I don't think that'll happen. Uh, uh, Jody Hewitt, I just wanted to stop by and make sure Phil was okay after he bumped his head with that terrible prediction on the Rams versus Cochrane score. And we'll get to that. Joshua Chase Garnto, Lee gave TCC all they could. Unfortunately, TCC is loaded top to bottom, which again, we've talked about that. Uh, they've got a great team. So, um, anyway, so yeah, we'll get to Region 6A in a minute. I think the recap is, look, Phil, you know we can start having fun with predictions or whatever. Somebody can come out of nowhere. Look, uh, we don't, we're not talking about coffee as much. They made a lot of noise last year, made it to the semifinals. I'll stick by what I said. Uh, Gainesville, Milton, Langston Hughes, out of the north end of the state, Thomas County Central, Houston County, and what other team? You could say Lee County, but I think it'll be Thomas County Central and one of those North Georgia teams.
Maybe Hughes. Did you mention Hughes already, or?
Yeah, I mentioned Hughes. That Hughes and Milton and Gainesville, the teams up there. We'll find out something. When is the Milton Gainesville game? I know that'll be a great measuring stick when those two teams
I
play.
Yeah, I think that's 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Milton has got Lanier at home this upcoming Friday. And if I'm not mistaken, and Mark, you remember we did that game last year. It was at Gainesville.
Yes.
That was our ITG Next Game of the Week. That's when Adam Clack was our special guest commentator.
Yes. Yep. I do remember that.
So, but to answer your question, I think it's in a couple of weeks, and you guys can fact check me on that. But it's well, that's going to be a good one. And again, I think it's going to tell a lot, about where those two teams are, Mark. And I also think it's going to go a long way to establishing some superiority, kind of in that bunch that you were just talking about, trying to establish some hierarchy there, Mark, as far as who's going to be leading the pack and maybe who's not.
Yeah, you're exactly right. And I want to mention David Woods checking in. Hi, gentlemen. David Woods checking in from Grayson Ram country. Got to be a happy camper right there, man. Those Grayson Rams, man. Give me the second team. I'll take the second team. Even the third team, man. They are loaded. They have numbers. They have athletes. They have great coaches. Man, they check all the boxes. Grayson looking very good this year.
Well, here's the thing about it, Mark, and I don't know if you I guess we can kind of finish up 5A and then we'll move to 6A. But as far as a real quick comment on Grayson, so you remember they had that very tough non-region portion of their schedule, probably arguably, Mark, the toughest non-region schedule of any 6A team. I mean, they had gosh, I'm trying to think. They had the team from North Carolina, the Raven Gap.
Raven Gap, yeah.
Defending North Carolina state champion. I know that sounds kooky, but they're in that North Carolina Independent Association. So they were defending North Carolina state champion. They took on Moody of Alabama, who was a finalist at Class 7A Alabama state championship game last year. My point being, no, I'm sorry. I think that was that's right, Thompson. I'm sorry. Yeah. Point being, Gainesville had a lot of tough cookies, and they took care of business. And the big thing to remember, you lose Travis Burgess, and man, our hearts go out to him. I know he's doing well in his rehab, and he'll be ready to go to North Carolina. But the thing is, they have the backup who comes in, and as Coach DeBerry had told me, Mark, they weren't going to miss a beat, and they have not.
No, they haven't. You're exactly right, and I know we'll get into 6A here in just a minute.
Yep.
Of course, another comment, Joshua Chase Garnto must be talking about the University of Grayson. I thought he was talking about high school football. Yeah, we'll get to that in a minute. If Milton wins their region and TCC wins the region, they'll be on the same side of the bracket. So, boy, would that be a semifinal to watch.
Okay, say that again. Say that again, Mark. Say it again.
If Milton wins their region and TCC wins their region, they will be on the same side of the bracket. So I got to be honest with you. Some coaches start looking at that, others don't. I think you want to win. I think you want to win every game. But all of a sudden, being the 2 seed on the other side of the bracket, so I don't run into TCC until the finals, that sounds a little more appealing to me.
Well, look, and I'll take a page out of Mike Coe's strategy book. Last year, Mike Coe saw that going into their final game at Thomas County Central, that sure they wanted to win, but Coach Co said, look, if we happen to lose, which they did, and by the way, that was our ITG Knicks game of the week. That was the last regular season game of the year last year. We were there. Coffee at Thomas County Central. We did the game, streamed the game. And Mike Coe had said, look, the way the bracket's set up, Mark, it's just one of these things where if we lose, and I'm quoting Mike Coe loosely. Basically, he said if we lose that game, then it's not going to be all bad because we think we've got a pretty good draw come playoffs. And you know what, Mark? He was right. They were the other semi-finalist in Class 5A last year. It was no, wait a minute. It was, I'm trying to think who it was. I'm pretty sure Coffee went to the semifinals last year. They lost to, who was it? Hughes, who
Yes.
wound up playing. Yeah. And they wound up, anyway, I can't remember exactly who it was.
The only
but
thing you need to talk about from last year, in fact, is Milton. That's the only thing that needs to be. I mean,
my point, but let me finish my point. But my point being that was the thing about these setups. Sometimes losing or finishing as the lower seed isn't always that bad.
No, you're
So
exactly
there you go.
right.
I want to finish my point there.
Yeah, for sure. Justin King, yeah, Bracketology 101. Leslie Fenham.
That's it.
The Wildcats had a great win over Camden.
Woo, didn't they though?
Next week, out of town game with Colquitt County Packers. Looking forward to it. Again, we'll go into 6A here in just a bit. But final thoughts. Honestly think Langston Hughes is somewhat under the radar because Milton is always in the news and kind of rightfully so. Look at the 2 years they've had. And I also feel like Gainesville is in the news a fair amount of the time. You just don't hear as much about Langston Hughes, and they are quietly, a lot of people have them ranked number one, and maybe rightfully so, obviously in their eyes. But I think they're quietly creeping up, and I don't want to overlook them. We know that they'll have a lot of talent, which really they weren't on my radar as much here in just the last couple of weeks. I mean, Milton and Gainesville, and I'm shocked, as you mentioned, that Milton has been able to keep winning, given the fact they're on their in effect third string quarterback. So, but they do keep winning. It'll be curious to see how the game goes with Gainesville. As we said, you don't want to lose a game, but hey, I just assume be on the other side of the bracket. Oh,
yeah, right. And who was it that said Bracketology 101? He's exactly right. This is, and you can bet right now you've got coaches who are already plotting out, Mark, the rest of their season. The example again I used with Mike Coe last year. Hey, if this happens, we could lose that game. And you know what? We're not going into it to lose it. But if things don't shake out our way, it's not all bad. So it's Mark. I guess what I'm saying is it may come down to not just the X's and O's of winning the football game, but actually the strategy of navigating your schedule and then knowing exactly where you could fall into the postseason. I mean, it changes everything, really.
Yeah, it does. Phil, let me get you to move over a tad. We were only getting half of your face there for a minute. So, yeah,
which way?
No, the other way, to your right. Yeah, there you. Now we got you. Okay, that may be too much, Phil, but that works. Anyway, but
how about that?
Stephen, yeah, that's good. Stephen K. win. Coffee lost to Hughes. Lee lost to Milton.
That's
Jeffrey
right.
Rowland checking in. Hey, from Warner Robins Demons. Jody Hewitt losing to be in the bottom of the bracket might be good for now. With the new GHSA rules coming, it won't be the case anymore, which, is the way it should be, quite frankly.
Right. And what he's referring to is next year, the whole playoff scenario will change where you don't have the top four teams in the region that go to the playoffs, which is how it has been. Okay. Instead, you're going to have this power ranking system where the top 32 teams get in, irregardless of where you finish in the region. Now, you will still be rewarded for winning the region. Okay. But you also, at the same time, Mark, finishing fourth in the region, or let's say finishing past the fourth spot in your region, if there happen to be more than four teams, may not necessarily keep you out of the playoffs as it has. So I like this. I really do. Hey, may the top 32 teams, may they go to the playoffs where it should be.
That's right. And rank them and let the chips fall where they may. So, Justin King said Phil's got a big head. So that's, that's Justin King saying that. Darius Kirksey, it's crazy that Hughes stays under the radar. Three-peat state track and field champs, state runner-up in football, incredible athletes all over the field. Look, I agree. Hughes has athletes all over. They are very competitive in a lot of sports. Heather Knight Rodriguez, but at the end of the day, you want to win. Don't want to leave your faith in anyone else's hands. I agree. You want to try to win them all.
Look, and let me talk about Hughes real quick. I've never pretended that like I know it all. I don't, and I've never pretended that. And I'll admit when I've made a mistake. I really undersold and undervalued Hughes at the beginning of the year. In fact, me and Darius Kirksey exchanged some pretty friendly, I'll call it blows, albeit over the keyboard. But he was right. He was right. I was wrong. And so I think Hughes has definitely got a much better team than I gave him credit for to start the year. And what I based that on was they had lost so much talent from last year. Now, I got that right in some scenarios, Irwin County. Fitzgerald, and I know we're going off script here a little bit, but just talking about how, I look at teams from last year who returned a lot of starters and those that didn't. And that's kind of how I went into the preseason top 10. And that was my application with Langston Hughes. I know they had lost a lot. So having said that, Langston Hughes is winning despite losing a lot from last year. And so there you go. And plus they got a pretty good quarterback, the transfer from over at Peachtree Ridge.
Well, and here's the thing with the teams in Atlanta, and let's just be real about it. If they lose a lot of talent, a lot of times we don't really know who's in line there, and players have been known to move around in the Atlanta area. So, whereas in pretty much everywhere else but Atlanta, you kind of know, you have an idea of who's coming up and like who's in line and how a team may be. But you're right, Langston Hughes seems to have great athletes, certainly in football, every year, year in, year out. So I think they're in a good spot. Personally, I'd rather be under the radar a tad. Trust me, they keep winning as the season advances. They won't be under the radar for long.
All right, so final thoughts on 5A. Again, Mark, we can't forget about Roswell. Roswell so far has done well. Roswell is one of our top 10 teams in 5A. And Mark, I'll give you another squad. Don't count out John Reed and the Rome Wolves. Okay. Great coach. Got off to a little bit of a slow start, but I would not count them out until they are out. I'll just say that.
Yeah, he's established a winning program. The facilities are incredible there.
Yeah.
He's done a great job. I agree with you. Certainly can't count them out. The same at Roswell. Look, again, you coach got to get your system in. You've got to get the community behind you, which is being done in Roswell.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised one bit if you don't start seeing some athletes choose and want to be in Roswell. He's doing a good job there. Quite frankly, he's doing a little better than I thought he would do, given the fact this is his first year.
Yeah, talking about Jonathan J.T. Thompson. He was the former offensive coordinator at Lee County. And, he was, I think Lee County set the state record last year for points per game. And now he's doing the same thing. He's got a great dual threat quarterback in Trey Smith, Mark, to work with there at Roswell. So, I think they could make some noise before it's all said and done.
Yeah, I agree. You know, and the thing that we have to remember once you get to the playoffs, it's a one game tournament. And if I've said it once, I'll say it again. You may be the overwhelming favorite. You may have every advantage. Here's the thing: a penalty here, a penalty there, a fumble here, turnover, something happened. Everybody's capable of beating somebody one time, and
Yeah,
that's all it takes.
that's right. And again, I will point to Sequoia upsetting Gainesville in the first round of the state playoffs last year, Mark, in 5A. Nobody saw that coming.
Yeah.
And that's done a lot to solidify Sequoia as a definitive top 10 team in 5A. They've been in our top 10, Mark, pretty much all season long.
Yep, yep. And so Phil Darius Kirksey said, "Hey, all good, Phil. No problem." Chris Sellers hoping Bainbridge Bearcats will be in the talk of playoffs next year. Rough go of it these past 2 years, and yes, it's been a little tough over in Bainbridge. And Coach Walls, unfortunately, things didn't work out there. I guess they're off to an 0-5 season, so they didn't really waste any time in Bainbridge. I mean, me personally, I think you have to give a coach a season, at least a season, maybe two. I don't even care if they
Yeah.
win a game. That's just me. Uh, I know he walked into a situation. Maybe they were down some. Of course, Jeff Littleton did such a great job. But look, let's face it, Jeff Littleton won a state. Didn't he win a state championship with 5 losses?
Yeah. Oh, you sure did.
Yeah.
Sure did.
So I mean, hey, Bainbridge could come. Bainbridge could run the table. I
Which is what
mean,
they did, Mark.
yeah. Is it probable? No. Could
No.
they win some games? Sure. And uh, and plus they played, their non-region schedule is very tough. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like, you know, man, give somebody the year and then see what their plan is for the second year. Maybe there could have been some games won. They could have built something there, but you know, anyway, look, this is not professional football or college. I can understand in those situations. Hey, look, we're not waiting. You're out. But I don't know. I feel like he should have certainly been able to finish his first year and then hear him out on what his plan is for the second year. But look, I talk about it all the time. In South Georgia, you are pretty much playing with kids in your community. Yeah, are there a few move arounds? Sure. A few people move in occasionally. Look, no, I don't think anybody's moving into Bainbridge. He's playing with kids that are there, as
Yeah.
are many programs in South Georgia and other rural areas in Georgia. You're playing with who you have. And at the end of the day, Vince Lombardi can't win in some of these cases. I mean, you've got to have some players to win. That's just a fact.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%, Mark. 100%. You guys were so glad you're with us tonight. Extra Point with Phil Jones and, of course, Mark Dykes back with me tonight. Glad to have Mark back with us and glad to have you guys back as well. I am not privy to the comments right now, so leaning on Mark to give us the feedback on the comments. Mark, anybody you want to update us on that?
Well, I'd say Obadiah Farley, when is ITG next returning to live streaming games? Well, I tell you, Obadiah, that is a ever changing landscape. So I'm not sure when that'll happen. It may not ever happen again, but you never know. We may bring Phil out of retirement to call a couple of games here and there, but boy, that landscape is changing so much with so many different people streaming games and schools being very protective of their brands, which is understandable. So, you know, not sure about that one, Obadiah. Um, let's see here. Stephen K. Wynn, there were a lot of circumstances weighing on Gainesville last season just before the Sequoia game. Main one
Yeah.
being starting running back was in that bad car wreck on his way
Yeah.
to the school. Yeah, certainly could see that. Justin King, Littleton started out 0-5 and had the bad hurricane in Bainbridge that year and still won the state. Phil, that's what you were talking about. Hey, we never know. Was Jay Walls going to win a state championship? maybe not, but certainly he could have won a couple of games and found a way to find something positive in the year. And I guess this was his second year. Okay, so excuse me for that. 1-9 last year, 0-5 this year. So
Yeah.
again, let him finish his second year. Uh, but yeah, 1-9 last year, 0-5 this year. That's a tough go.
So real quick, and look, I hate it when a coach is let go. I know Jay Walls well. He's a good coach too. Now, there's
Yeah,
no
that's
denying
right.
that, Mark. Yeah.
In fact,
Now, let's also,
he's the last coach that had anything good going at Tift County. Let's face it, they were in the, I believe they were in the semifinals.
yep,
Got him to the semifinals when he was there, and then,
yep.
then he was let go, um, and then I think he spent some time in Florida and back in Georgia. But I'm sure he'll get an opportunity somewhere. He's a great guy.
He is. And so what I was going to say, you had um, over at Wayne County, you had John Mooring, who was also let go in midseason. John Mooring had built up Savannah Country Day, Mark, and he goes to Wayne County after Jabo Shaw leaves. Okay. Jabo Shaw leaves Wayne County and goes to Dawson County, and which is where he's at now. So you had John Mooring, who took over the Wayne County job, couldn't make it work for whatever reason. John Mooring is a man's man. I got to know him. I'm talking about a superhuman kind of guy. Now, having said that, they let him go. And I did talk with him, by the way, and he's good. Former Georgia Southern standout player when he was there. But he leaves, the AD takes over, and lo and behold, they pull one of the biggest upsets this past Friday night, Mark, in defeating Warner Robins, and they beat him pretty handily.
Yeah, that was a shocker. That was a shocker. So, Kelly Mitchell, what's up, Phil? Saw you downtown Valdosta today. I spoke passing by in my truck. Go Trojans.
I was
Stephen
wondering who that
Tate.
was.
There you go, Stephen Tate. Evening, guys. Stephen K. Wynn, how about this comment? Would Maurice Freeman be a candidate for the Bainbridge job? So that would be very interesting. Maurice Freeman is a great coach. I think the question there is he's getting retirement in Georgia and
Yeah.
he's in Alabama. So I don't know if financially that would make sense for him. But I do agree with you, Stephen K. Wynn. I believe Maurice Freeman could be a great fit for Bainbridge.
Yeah, I don't think there's any doubt
I
about it.
think Maurice Freeman would be a great fit anywhere.
He would. I agree with that 100%.
Yeah, I'm
100%.
a big
Now,
fan
yeah,
of Maurice Freeman.
yeah.
You know, I I think he maybe should have gotten an opportunity over the years, maybe at a bigger school. But boy, he certainly did great things for Brooks County. But that would be very interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. Mark, you ready to move on to 6A?
We can, I guess. Tony Wynn, Jackets Nation, checking in from Meigs, Georgia. That'll be a good way to segue in. We got another TCC Yellow Jacket in the house. You know, I mean, hey, ride that train. I
What's up?
mean,
It's Tony Wynn, you say, right, Tony?
yeah, Tony Wynn, Jackets Nation, checking in from Meigs, Georgia.
What's up, Tony? How you doing, man?
And then Michael Baxter, good evening, Phil and Mark and everyone at ITG Next.
I know
Go
where he's
New
from.
Eagles. Yes, man. They keep going on. There's no question about it, man. My hat's off to the Milton Eagles and Coach Reeves on what he's done. Look, I got to tell you, they had a chance to beat Buford. I was completely shocked. That was a close game, and then they just keep winning. So nothing shocks me with Milton and Coach Reeves. Done a great job.
All right, Mark. I'm about to put you on the spot.
All right,
Now
before
you
you do,
put
one more thing. This
okay.
interesting comment. Brian Bird, nope. Maurice Freeman can come over to Fitzgerald. Okay.
Whoa,
How
whoa,
about
wait a
that?
minute now. Wait a minute. Wes
Hey,
Tankersley just got there.
well, Brian he has different thoughts. You know, he's thinking
Obviously.
just see Coach Freeman right on over to Fitzgerald. Uh, I tell you though, Phil, before we get to 6A,
Yeah.
I got to give props to my Worth County Rams.
Yes, you do.
Coach Jeff Hammond,
What a
who
job.
they are getting better and better, it looks like. And man, big showdown. I believe they have Thomasville this week. So that's going to be a strong test for the Rams. But look, they've got it. Everybody knows about the offense, but their defense is playing well.
Yeah, they are. And they do have Thomasville. Mark, that's going to be one of the top games in the state. By the way, Mark, let me know how I'm lining up. If I'm still okay or if I need to move.
Yeah, I think you're good. Well, you can still go to your right a tad, but there you go. There you go. That's
Okay.
it. Yep.
So yeah, so it's going to be Worth County, Thomasville. Look, I got to be honest with you. There's Mark. There's not many people that are playing better than Worth County right now.
They are playing great, certainly in their classification. Uh, they're doing a great job. I mean, look, they have a talented quarterback. We've talked about him before. I got a feeling
Yep.
more people are going to start to recognize this kid, and he's going to be able to get more offers. But they have some great athletes on the field for him to get the ball to. Their defense is playing good. So,
Yep. Yep.
hey, go Rams! You know, I mean, it's been a minute since they've had something to cheer about in Sylvester.
Yeah, that's his Mark's hometown. So
My hometown, man.
that's
I'm a
it.
Ram.
Always. Oh, hey, it's hard to forget about your hometown team. I don't care what anybody says, right?
No, man, you got to root for your hometown team. Come on now. Okay, so Jody Hewitt, them Vikings are coming for the region next stop, Blue Devils at the Concrete Palace. Oh boy, Vikings look really good Friday night. Stephen K. Wynn, Phil Jones Corso. What's your pick six this week? Okay, we got to get to the pick six, Phil. See how you did. Now, we I know of one that didn't work out too good. You'll probably get razzed about that for sure.
Yeah, we can start right there. Of course, that was the Colquitt Lowndes game, and yeah, that one I missed. So pick six, I had gone with Colquitt 28-21, and of course they Lowndes came out winners in that one, 31-14. Congratulations to Adam Carter and the Lowndes High Vikings. Boy, they really came out. And I'll tell you the key to the game, Mark. And I know you're going to be visiting with Sean Calhoun and some folks over there in Moultrie this week. But the key for Lowndes, from what I've been told, was they were able to shut down and contain Jay Lamar.
Well, I think everybody knows, obviously, he's a big part of what Colquitt County does, and rightfully so.
Yeah,
Very talented
yeah,
running back. So if you can keep him contained, then you know you're going to have a good chance. But look, I've said it a lot. I think the Concrete Palace may be the best home field advantage in the state of Georgia. I mean, really, I'm just all things considered. When you think about everything, you know that huge fan base. You know they sell out all those season tickets and the
yep,
band and they tailgate and you know there's a history there. There's a lot of pride there, and you know once it looks like Adam Carter has got that train going the right direction, and they have three middle schools that feed them talent. Uh, it's hard to win at Concrete Palace. Look, if Lowndes, it looks like that Wintersville game uh, could mean something this year, Phil. That could be that could be a very big game. Boy, wouldn't that be great? I think it's on Halloween night. If the
it is.
region's up for grab, Wintersville
Wow,
with the region up for grab, man, are you kidding? I will not be at the
wow.
scoreboard show. I will be at that game. Period. Uh, you're talking about it'll just be even elevated more. Which that game, look, it's among the best games in the country. Bottom line, bar none. And you know, I always say it. Valdosta, it's good for everyone if Valdosta's good. They're the winningest high school football program in the country. Same things for Lowndes. Look, Lowndes has carried the torch for South Georgia many years. Let's just face it. You know, back in the 2000s, they won those three state championships. I mean, I
Yeah,
can't tell you how many people have asked me as I've traveled, what's that school with the stadium right off I-75? Hey, that's the Concrete Palace. That's Lions Eye Vikings. So I think, when you start talking about 6A, I think that's a big win for Lowndes to be able to beat Colquitt because Coach Calhoun does a great job. Colquitt is a good team, and for them to win that game in the way that they did it, I think that really is a big confidence booster for Lowndes, and uh, I think that's going to set things up for a very fun Wintersville Halloween night, October 31st.
Agree with everything you just said, 100%. Mark, so while we're, well, first of all, let me finish going through my pick six real quick. So I missed the Colquitt Lowndes game. Coffee, Northside Warner Robins, I picked Coffee 28-16. They won 28-7. So I got the Coffee score right on the money. Northside scored 7 points instead of the 16. So I got that one. Here's the one I was really proud of. Benedictine and Ware. Boy, that was a humdinger of a game, Mark. I don't know if you kept up with it. We were talking about it and keeping up with it right there at the end Friday night on the scoreboard show. Mark, Benedictine trailed by a bunch in that game at Ware, but they were able to storm back and they get the win, did Benedictine, 30-27. I had predicted Benedictine would win 35-31. So my prediction, 35-31, they were going to win by 4. They won 30-27. They won by 3, so I was pretty close there.
That was a great game. It sounds like. Look, Ware County, another hard place to play. Home field there as well. So, of course, Benedictine is battle tested. They played some good teams. Their non-regional
Yeah,
schedule is very tough, so they're
yeah,
battle tested. So, I think that's not a really big shock that they were able to go in there and win. But I will say, Ware County is difficult on their home turf.
absolutely. All right, game 4 in my pick 6. I had predicted, I thought Blessed Trinity. And who remember, Mark, Blessed Trinity was my pick for the toughest schedule in the state this year. And you look at Blessed Trinity playing Milton, and I think they played Benedictine, and this past week they played Savannah Christian. I had Blessed Trinity, I had picked them to win 23-20. They won 35-32. So I picked them to win by 3. They win by 3. And by the way, they did that in overtime.
How about that?
Yeah. Cambridge and East Coweta, I predicted Cambridge to win 28-16. They won 45-21. And then the last game, I did miss it. I had predicted Fitzgerald to beat Appling 21-7. Instead, Appling wins it on a last-second field goal as time expires, 15-14. Mark, Tucker Pruitt leads his new team back to where he coached for 11 years at JC Stadium against his old team. And Mark, don't you know what a strange sensation it was? He was coaching from the other side of the field.
Yeah, that had to be a little different for him. You kind of wonder what emotions going through you. Is at Fitzgerald a long time, did a great job there. I
Yep,
think that was a little bit of a shocker, personally.
I did too, Mark. I did too. Appling County has not gotten out of the gate very strong, but give them credit. And look, here's another coach we were talking about. Tucker Pruitt, kind of like Josh McFather at Brooks, kind of like we were talking about Jeff Littleton at Bainbridge getting by. Some of these coaches are kind of known, Mark, for not necessarily getting off to a fast start, but it's like Jeff Littleton says, it's not how you start, it's how you finish.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. It's how you finish. So that's a big win for him. I know Appleton lost a lot of talent last year.
They did.
I mean,
Yeah,
they
they
had
really
some
did.
players, so they did. Stephen K. Wynn, right now, I would say TCC has the best home field advantage over Lowndes at this point. Um, I wouldn't put up a big argument with that. I guess I was talking in terms of 6A, but I will say, uh, TCC has a lot of momentum going. But, I don't know. Lowndes, Concrete Palace is a great home field. So uh, I think that's splitting hairs on that one. But for sure,
Agree.
TCC is a great home field.
Mark, you want to talk about Class 6A?
Yeah, let's go ahead and make it happen, which we had started a little bit. So I will start off by saying, at least in my opinion,
Yeah.
uh, Grayson won a state championship last year. I do still think they are the team to beat, even though they lost Travis Burgess, who is just, he's a great quarterback. Let's face it. Hate that for that young man that he can't finish the season. But Grayson keeps moving. They have so much talent. And when you look at them up close and on the field, the numbers they have is just, it's mind boggling, in all honesty. They, and Santavius Bryant's done a great job there. The kids love him. And so I want to start off by saying, again, I think Grayson's going to be the team to beat. Now, can they be beat? Sure. As I said, any team, you only got to win one game. I think it'll be hard to go to Grayson and beat them. But I'll go back to what I said before, like with Lowndes and Valdosta,
Yeah.
now that Lowndes has beat Colquitt in that Wintersville game, potentially could be for the number one seed. Boy, that's an important game. Very important game. If like if you had to meet Grayson in the semis, and I don't know how those brackets line up, you certainly would like to face them on your home field. I think if you got to go to Atlanta in the Benz, I think it's going to be hard for anybody to beat Grayson, but it could happen. Obviously, Lowndes now is playing very well. Valdosta's playing very well. You can't count Colquitt out. They're going to make the playoffs, and you don't want to see them coming. For many years, when Rush was at Colquitt, they were road warriors many times, and I think they won a state championship when they played on the road a lot. But
Yep.
yeah, it's going to be tough. I say Grayson, then I say Buford. Uh, I think Grayson and Buford up north. You know, yeah, there's other teams we can talk about it, but again, I think you got to look at Grayson and Buford, and then you know down here Region 1 6A.
Yeah. Let's talk about, a lot of people. Mark, I joined, I got a call Friday afternoon from the guys up at 92.9 The Game in Atlanta. It's the big sports talk station up there, and they were really interested. They were interested in wanting to talk about 1-6A because they were looking at the slate of games to kick off region play this past Friday night. So they asked me to come on their show Friday night before our show, and I told them, yeah, but it was kind of interesting. These guys have been paying a lot of attention, and they feel like, and I want to get your take on this, Mark. So, and I want to get everybody else's take on this they're watching. I want y'all's comments. I think everybody has been wondering, say, over the past few years. I know there's been a lot of conversations between friends and fans. When and who? When is the South Georgia teams going to be able to win, at least compete for a state championship? And who's it going to be? So, Mark, let's talk about that real quick, and then we'll get into specifics as far as the regions go. I told them that I think that the South Georgia teams are getting a little bit closer. Right now, it is still very much, I think, in the advantage of North Georgia teams, especially the Metro Atlanta area, the Metro Atlanta, Buford, North Gwinnett, Grayson, Carrollton. Yeah, right now in Class 6A, I would say those are the big four horsemen right now in 6A as far as being able to truly compete for a state championship. But I want to get your thoughts, Mark.
Yeah, and I left out Carrollton. I mean, Carrollton's got a good team, so they're in the hunt too. But first of all, I mean, when let's just be truthful about it. As long as the kids are moving around like they
Yeah.
are in Atlanta, and it's just a fact of life, it's going to be very difficult for South Georgia teams. I mean, you're going to have some incredible talent in South Georgia to compete. And so, as long as kids are moving around, which look, I know it's going to be a little harder to do now with the rules that GHSA has passed. My hat's off to them. I think GHSA does a great job. I think they do as good a job as they can. But if a kid wants to move and his parents want to move their kid, you're still going to see some of that happening. I think there'll be ways around it. Of course, the obvious thing is if I have a talented athlete when he's in the 8th grade, then I may think about, okay, hey, where do I want to go? I'm not happy with the school system where I am now. Let's go. And you can go anywhere once you get out of the 8th grade, as long as the other school will take you. So
Yep.
I think it's just, it's going to be hit and miss. It's going to be hard. You can't compete with a team where they've got multiple 5-star players and a whole bunch of 3-star players and kids coming in. I mean, it's very, very difficult. So yes, any team can beat the other one on any given day. I think if you had to look at where things are right now, look, it was Colquitt for a number of years in South Georgia that seemed, here in the last, 8, 9 years, would you say, for South Georgia?
Yep.
And
Yes.
I think about Austin. In fact, I think, again, we don't have a ton of people moving to any of these places. You certainly don't have a ton of people moving to Moultrie. Sean Cohn's got to play with what he's got. And you don't have a ton of people. Lowndes does get some people coming to the military base. You get that. But I would say, based on this year, you got Jace, a really good quarterback at Lowndes. He's just a junior. Is that correct? Jace
Yes,
just,
that is
yeah.
correct.
So he's coming back next year. Lowndes is setting himself up where, maybe they could make a run. Valdosta is loaded up. So, um, I think if you're looking at this year, you got to look at Valdosta and Lowndes. Clearly, them having an opportunity maybe to make some noise and make a run. I do think they're certainly capable of doing that.
Agree. Agree. So my take, here's a couple of things. Remember in the preseason, in fact, this was our preseason in our preseason preview. Remember Lowndes losing every starter on defense except for one, Mark, all but one. And Adam Carter said himself, and you can go back, guys, and check it out in our ITG Next preseason preview, where Adam Carter said to us that, and I'm kind of ad-libbing here, paraphrasing, definitely not a direct quote, but Adam Carter said something along the lines of 2025 could very well be a struggle for the Lowndes High Vikings. And this was not coach speak. He was being honest, and he was basing that on the fact that he lost all of his defensive starters. Okay. So, and that's a fact. I mean, you can go back and check it.
Well,
That was true.
Well, look, you hold Colquitt to 14 points. You found some defensive players from somewhere. That's for sure.
So, yeah. So, and whether that was, from some of the younger guys stepping up or whatever, to finish my thought on it, you're absolutely right. No matter where they came from, Lowndes' defense has been playing stellar football this year. And Mark just made the point about how much they controlled that. Look, that's why I had predicted, one of the reasons I had predicted Colquitt to win. Okay, a couple of things. They had the toughest non-region schedule of anybody. They went to North Gwinnett. Yes, they lost, but they beat a good North Gwinnett. A Benedictine team at home, and they went to Lee County and beat Lee County, a good team. So they had 3 games against top tier teams. They took 2 out of 3 of those games, Mark. And then I just thought because of Jay Lamar and his superiority at running back, I thought that was going to give Colquitt the edge. Plus the fact that they are what two-time defending region champions, Mark, back to back.
Yeah, I think
Now,
you have to give them the edge if they're coming off again two region champions back to back. I get Lowndes losing a lot of players on defense, but look, Lowndes has great feeder programs. I can't tell you how many times when Randy McPherson was coaching Lowndes, I would see it like there'd be a game, and I'd be talking to him the next week, and I'd say, "Well, who is this guy?" Oh yeah. He's come up. He's been in the program. It seems like there was always players coming up through those programs. So, and it sounds like Adam Carter has got the feeder programs back on track, and is putting his stamp on the program now. Uh, so good for them. I mean, hey, uh, but that Wintersville game, man, I've already got that circled uh, on my calendar for sure.
yeah. So again, going back to Lowndes to finish the thought. So yeah, I thought that they would struggle. Also, they didn't play the toughest non-region schedule of the year. So all those things kind of led into my prediction for that Colquitt Lowndes game. However, yeah, things can look a certain way on paper, but man, when they played the game, I'll credit Adam Carter, so going back to that defense. Mark, they put together an excellent game plan to stifle Jay Lamar. I can't
Yeah,
remember the exact yardage count, but it wasn't much compared to Jay Lamar standards. So I thought that was the difference in the game. Of course, the fact that they were able to keep him hemmed in pretty good. And you know what? That they may have borrowed a page out of the North Gwinnett playbook, Mark, because I think that kind of things kind of went that same way up at North Gwinnett. Again, if you can stop Jay Lamar, you may can stop Colquitt. And I'm sure all other teams are going to be looking at that. Now, having said that, I'm sure Sean Calhoun and his great staff, they're going to go back to the drawing board. And it's point counterpoint here, Mark.
yeah, that's exactly right. I mean, you don't count certainly don't count Cockwood out. I mean,
No.
Coach Calhoun does a great job there. Great group of coaches there. So I mean, 6A, it'll be a lot of fun to see how it pans out. And again, I still say all roads go through Grayson. You have Buford and Carrollton up there. Those would be my three picks. And I mean, I guess if you were pressed and had to say, I mean, I think Grayson's going to be hard to beat. You got to catch them on maybe an off night. You got to have some things go your way, which can happen. We've seen it happen. So, but I think all things equal, Grayson is just loaded.
Yeah, and you got to remember Travis Burgess, starting quarterback, goes down. We wrote a story. I interviewed Coach DeBerry, Byron DeBerry, the athletic director there. He said, "Look, we've got a young man by the name of Deuce Smith who's going to come in. Nobody's heard of Deuce Smith, Mark. Well, by golly, they've heard of him now. He has come in, and Mark, this is what good teams do, right? We talked about Milton finding a way to get it done using three different quarterbacks. Mark, you know how I am about quarterbacks. I'm a big believer in you are as good as your quarterback is, or you are as good as your quarterbacks, plural, are. And I think that's what's happened in both these cases. Travis Burgess goes down. Did you want him? No, that's the last thing you wanted. But give the coaching staff at Grayson credit. They had Deuce Smith ready to go, and he is picked right up. This game last week, 18 of 26, 307 yards, and 5 touchdowns. And he's been able to do that ever since he took over for the injured Travis Burgess. And then I mentioned Milton. And again, I know that's not the same classification, but the point being, you lose your quarterback. Let's test how good you really are as a team and as a coaching staff. And, those are programs, 2 examples of programs that have been able to do that. So still a big believer in you are as good as your quarterback is.
Well, you're exactly right. And Reed, my hat's off to Coach Reed and what he's been able to do. But look, yeah, Grayson, you would think maybe they would have fallen off some, losing
Yep.
Travis Burgess, but they haven't. But look, as I mentioned, I've seen them up close multiple times at practice, at games. they have so much talent all around at every position. I'm not saying I could quarterback that team. you know, I mean, but look, I got to tell you, if the other team can't score, then, you know, and that's how good they are on defense, man. They are loaded. You
Yeah.
know, everybody talks about Tyler Atkinson, but look, they got other players on that defense as well. So
Yeah.
again, um, it speaks to their depth, and they've got that at every position. I mean, you got to keep in mind Tyler Atkinson, nor did their other good linebacker play when they just ran over Collins Hill, and their
That's right.
defense shut Collins Hill down, and their two best players on defense weren't playing. So, you know, how do you compete? Like, what do you do with that?
It's a good point. Again, just that's why, and again, with all due respect to Travis Burgess, make no doubt about it. He is the engine of that team. Now, they've been able to find suitable replacement, like I said, but that's the mark of a really good team is that beyond the quarterback, there's a lot of pieces that make that team great. And like you said, Mark, you lose Travis Burgess, okay. Who else we got? Next man up. You lose Tyler Atkinson, okay. Next man up. You lose the other top linebacker. You guys help us out with that name, by the way. Not talking about Tyler Atkinson. You lose both of them. And Mark, that this happened during that rough stretch I was talking about earlier of those non-region games, right?
That's right. That's exactly right.
Yeah.
And they,
So again, go ahead.
yeah, I was going to say, and they just keep going. Right, quick here, Phil. Let me mention a couple of comments. Greg Tanner, none of y'all had Richmond Hill winning at Tift.
You're right.
Matthew Fielder, I could see Lounge shocking Valdosta and making a deep run.
By the way, we're going
Stephen,
we're going to get into 1-6A here in just a minute. Go ahead, Mark.
yeah, Stephen K. Wynn, Colquitt's second half against Lee County showed a lot, and Lowndes took note. Stephen K. Wynn, Milton, sophomore, third string QB, was a preseason 3-star. So obviously he had some people looking at him already. If you're a 3-star, Walter Thomas, very hard to run the ball on Lowndes. Defense is very fast. So um, I think Lowndes certainly has some talent. We know about the talent on offense, but again, they're doing something on defense as well.
Mark, let's move to 1-6A and kind of address some of these conversations because obviously, if we want to talk about who's going to compete from South Georgia against some of these aforementioned teams, Grayson, Buford, Carrollton, and we will get talk about those other teams before we depart here tonight. But Mark, you mentioned Lowndes. Obviously, they've got the offense. By the way, Mark, did you see the one-handed catch that the all everything wide receivers hauled in
I did see
from
that
Juice?
highlight. Yeah, did see that highlight. So hey,
Unbelievable.
so when you got that kind of thing going, I mean they again they are. I mean I think they'll be a force to be reckoned with. And I think the other thing is they needed to win a game like Colquitt. They needed to get that win under their belt to give them some confidence.
Mark, here's the thing about it. Okay. I think you and I, and most people in the past, we could easily name the Lowndes quarterback. We could easily name the running backs, Marvin Parrish. Um, who are the brothers there that played for Lowndes? Trying to remember their names. But point being, you know, you could pretty much recall the quarterback, the running backs. Yeah, and I'm not gonna put you on the spot, but I bet it'd be tough right now to recall who the top running back is for Lowndes.
Yeah, I mean that would be tough. Look, and also I mean I have names running through my head all the time.
Yeah,
So
right. Me too. Yeah.
I think we all know the quarterback clearly, but I got to admit I can't name uh, but in all honesty, there's a lot of teams I can't name a lot of players.
Oh, I know, I know,
Uh,
I know. I'm just, yeah, but Mason Woods is his name. But my point being that I didn't know that. I had to look, you know.
okay.
So, point being that Lowndes is getting it done, Mark, with a lot of guys who aren't necessarily the superstars, of course, other than Jace.
Yeah, and Jody Hewitt, juice to Artavian Brown, and he's a sophomore. So how about that?
Whoa.
That wide receiver's a sophomore.
How about that? Wow.
Yeah, I
Jody,
tell you,
I want to go ahead.
I was just going to say, so, I'm going back many years now. When Randy Mack was there, he didn't throw the ball a lot, right?
No, he
Threw
didn't.
the
He sure
ball, and we
didn't.
all know that he would throw it occasionally. So they were playing Colquitt, and this is a true
Yes.
story. This is a true story. So they're playing Colquitt upcoming Friday. It's at Colquitt, and so they had a really good wide receiver, and I cannot think of his name, and they didn't throw it to him a lot. I mean, tall guy, good looking kid. And so I'm sitting there talking to Coach Mack, and this is on a Wednesday, and we were just chatting around. And I said, well, I'm looking forward to this Colquitt Lounge game coming up. I said, we kind of got to talking, and that wide receiver came up, and I said, well, you gonna throw it to him at all? He said, on the first play of the game, we're going to do a halfback pass. And he said, if they're ready for it, I know you have gone over there and told Rush Probst that we're going to
Oh
do that.
Lord.
I said, my lips are sealed. You know, I wouldn't do anything like that. And I thought he was just, he's just saying that to me. Randy McPherson going to do, a halfback pass. Sure as the world, first offensive play of the game, quarterback hands it to one back, and then he pitches it to the halfback. And somebody may remember this, but he throws past this guy. I mean, a touchdown, first play of the game. And I mean, and that was back, boy, that was a war, that game. I'm trying to think if I can remember even who won that game. Brian Bell was linebacker for Lowndes at that point. I'm trying to think who the quarterback was. But anyway, it was a great game. I'm just thinking about when we mentioned this receiver being a sophomore at Lowndes. I was thinking about Coach Mack calling that play, which is totally uncharacteristic of him, but that's why it worked.
How about that? The element of surprise, right?
Yeah, the element of surprise.
So
Yep.
let's talk about boy and Mark. This is the one that everybody's been wanting to talk about in as far as 1-6A goes, and really anywhere in the state. Valdosta. Boy, they really flexed their muscle Friday night, didn't they, Mark? They go to Camden County to play an undefeated Camden County. It was Wildcats versus Wildcats, Mark. Valdosta Wildcats traveling to Kingsland to take on the Camden County Wildcats. And what a performance it was from a couple of Marquise Fennell was one, and then Deron Foster was the other one. Both of those running backs for Valdosta, 4 touchdowns each, Mark, to pace the way for the Cats offense, who ran up over, I think, close to 800 yards of total offense in defeating Camden. Mark, that was some kind of impressive. And Mark, here we go again. You lose Todd Robinson, all everything quarterback, right? He's up at Georgia. They're going to make a defensive back out of him. So what? They got a couple of quarterbacks now they're playing. I think it's Tyreek Wade. He's the young man that transferred in from Texas this offseason. And then you got Trip Perry, the incumbent young man coming up through the Cat system. But those are the two guys that are quarterbacking. And again, not losing a beat. Great performance from Valdosta against Camden County. And Mark, that shuts Camden County down. So Camden County falls out of our top 10. In fact, I think they fall out of everybody's top 10. So this goes to show you that right now, Valdosta flexing their muscle for supremacy in Region 1-6A, at least between those guys. And right now, Lowndes also looking very good.
Yeah, and Larry Pope said Prince Jean had 4 catches for 130 yards, and Wade had 211 yards. I can tell you this about Valdosta. I had a chance. I cannot remember. It's a couple of weeks ago. I watched them play, and they were just running the ball up and down the field like it would like. You have to give credit to their offensive line, and certainly, I mean, their talented running backs are really good. But when you can run the ball like that, boy, that opens up so many options for you on offense. I mean, I don't think anybody expected them to beat Camden in that fashion like that. So, and that's on the road. That was not, that was not, it was not a
Yeah.
home game.
Right.
So, yeah, I believe, Valdosta again. Going back to the Wintersville game, what a game that will be. But they're doing a great job, and when you can run the ball like that, anything can happen. And I don't know what it was this weekend with rushing. Phil, are you familiar with this kid in Dublin that set a record for yards in a game?
West Lawrence, running back.
Yeah, is that it? One of them up in that area? He set a record. The chat may can help me out with this. And
Well, he's
then
one of our, yeah, West Lawrence running back, Ty Cummings. I think is who you're talking about.
I know that he this past weekend he set a record. It's some insane number of yards and touchdown he ran for. And then in Florida at the Bowles School, Bowles had a kid that broke Derrick Henry's record for touchdowns in a game.
No kidding.
Yeah, how about that? So there was a lot of running going on this past Friday. I can tell you that. A lot of running. In fact, I think Valdosta Wildcats, man, those players are still running. I mean, they just kept going. But boy, they come at you. It's not just one person. They got multiple people that are coming at you. Stephen
Mark,
K. Ty Cummings, he ran for 615 yards.
Ty Cummings, that's right, West Lawrence running back. He is one of our top 10 performers
You
this
think
week.
615 yards? I think he is the top performer. Uh, you know, I mean, he's still running. I mean, that's insane. 615 yards, one game.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, no. I mean, he's one of our top 10 performers this week, which you guys can check that out on our newsletter. We try to find the top performers, and I get a lot of input from coaches and fans. And yeah, Mark, I was made aware of his performance on Friday night show. 8 touchdowns he went for. Ty Cummings did. And by the way, we also we gave both the Valdosta running backs. They're included in this week's top 10 performers. So, Mark, what does this say? By the way, in this age where everybody's wanting to throw the ball, run and shoot, 7-on-7. Let's 5 wide receivers everywhere. What does it say though about getting back to the basics, Mark, of football, which is running the football? I love it.
Well, yeah, you know me. I believe that if you run the ball and play good defense, you can win. It will open up where you can throw the ball. But I've said this on prior shows. If you look at what's going on, even in college and pro, whether it's the Philadelphia Eagles or the Detroit Lions, they are running the ball. If you look at the collegiate level, I mean, you're seeing a lot of good teams that maybe have historically thrown the ball a lot. I mean, you're seeing I mean that Penn
Right.
State Oregon game, it was just a tough ball game. Unfortunately, the Bulldogs didn't pull it through, but Kirby believes in running the ball and being physical. Uh, but I'm a believer. I'm a believer in the running game. You know that.
Oh yeah, yeah. So look, we'd be remiss, by the way, in finishing up our conversation on 1-6A. Obviously, can't about also takes care of business. Lowndes takes care of business. I want to talk real quick about that Tift County Richmond Hill game. Look, let's give credit to Matt Lozada, the head coach of Richmond Hill. Brand new stadium, they got a brand new school, one of the fastest growing counties in the state. I get it. I get it. Now let's not talk about Richmond Hill. They're a non-factor, blah, blah, blah. Well, let me tell you something. That coach, Matt Lazada, by the way, great guy. I consider him a friend. Got to know him throughout the years. Matt Lazada is quietly over there all by himself in Bryan County. He is putting together a pretty darn good football team. And I get it, Tift County, still trying to work their way back up to respectability. But this was a game that Tift County, I think, was favored. A lot of people were expecting Tift County to win this game, Mark. But Richmond Hill makes the long bus ride from Richmond Hill to Tift County. And I got to tell you, they really put the class, and they got down 7-0. Tift County was actually up 7-0 in this game. And Richmond Hill falls behind and comes back and outscores Tift the rest of the way, 35-3 to win it 35-10. It was a bad loss for Tift, but an impressive win for Richmond Hill, Mark. Your thoughts?
Well, I agree. I think and to lose like that, I think that, it's a little tough for Tiff.
Yeah,
Again,
yeah.
Littleton still, trying to get things on track there. Big win for Richmond Hill. As you mentioned, they have all new facilities, all new school. Richmond
Yep.
Hill, that's suburb of Savannah. It's a growing community. It has been growing. Things will do nothing but get better and better and better for Richmond Hill.
Agree 100%. So, Mark, let's look at this real quick. I had predicted back earlier in the season that I had done, I looked at a few, and I want to get your take on this, and I want to get our viewers' take. Mark, I had predicted some make or break games, and I did this back either before the season or early in the season, first week or so. I predicted this game between Colquitt County and Lowndes was going to be make or break. And I'll tell you why. Colquitt obviously loses to Lowndes. Okay. Remember last year, Colquitt won this game. Okay. 38-35, last second field goal by Rod Fitzgerald. But they go to Valdosta the next week, Mark, and they lose 7-3. Right? Now, Colquitt won the region, but it was by virtue of that opening win in region play against Lowndes. So, my question to you is, Mark, is this Colquitt game coming up against Valdosta this weekend, is this going to be a must-win game for Colquitt? Can they afford to go to 0-2 in the region and expect to repeat as region champs for the third straight year? Interested in your thoughts on that, Mark, and our viewers.
Well, no. I mean, look, if they go 0-2, they're not going to win the region. But, I don't know. I don't know if I like make or break games. That's just me personally. I do understand there are those games, but look, Colquitt, at the end of the day, you want to get in the playoff. You want to, you want to be one of those top four seeds. You want to get in the playoffs. So I think they'll do that. I think they'll be there whether they win or lose Friday. It will be a tough game. I think it makes the game much more interesting. Now the fact that Lowndes beat Colquitt, Valdosta's coming off of that big win against um, Camden. Where is the Valdosta Colquitt game? Do we know?
I think it's going to be at Colquitt.
Okay, well that will be that'll hit. But look, Valdosta looks tough. So I mean,
Yeah, at Colquitt. Yep.
Yeah, I know
Yeah.
Shelton Felton. He don't want he understands what the region championship means, and uh, I think that'll be a good game. It's going to be a tough, hard fought game.
Well, the reason I called it make or break was simply because if Colquitt has aspirations for a third straight region title, this is a game that they need.
Yeah, yeah, for
Yeah,
sure. If they
yeah,
want to win a region title, yes, they would have to beat Valdosta, and then Lowndes has got to lose along the way. I mean, things have to happen. I think
yeah.
you got to just play each game as it is. Let's see here. Jose Padilla, yeah, and region play point differential is crucial. I don't remember a Camden team giving up 63 points ever. That's a good point. I don't remember a Camden team ever giving up 63 points. It'd be interesting to know if that is the most points they've ever given up. Uh, Stephen K. Wynn, Ty Cummings 615 yards, which we mentioned. In Xander Edwards, Jacksonville Bowls, he rushed for 578 yards and 7 TDs. His dad is Mark Edwards, former NFL fullback. Stephen K. Wynn said he had Richmond Hill winning. Larry Pope let us know that Valdosta is at Colquitt. And Kavion Patrick, region will go through Valdosta or Lowndes. I think that's probably a good assessment given the fact that Lowndes went conference. So I think, look, I think, man, Halloween night, dress up, go to the game, and I
Don't
believe,
get bigger, does it?
I believe that's going to be at Baysmore Hyder, if I'm not
Yeah,
mistaken. So,
it is.
boy, what a game that will be. And Kavion Patrick, I think Valdosta run game being so strong right now will help them later on in the season. They don't have to show much pass. Yeah, when you can run the ball like that, you're exactly right. You're going to be in good shape. Marcus Jones, Valdosta defense has been phenomenal. Corey Beverly, Kenman gave up 70 plus points to Colquitt 4 or 5 years ago. How about that? I did not, you know, seems like I thought I would have known that. I'm very, I remember those games over the years, but I don't know that I remember 70.
I don't either. I don't either, but we'll trust that the gentleman is right. But so here's a couple of other thoughts. Now we've talked about 7A and this and that. Do, would we agree that Buford could be who's your odds-on favorite right now to win the state championship? And I don't know. We've got a couple of minutes left to go in the show. You want to try to just run down right now, kind of just as we're past the mid season break. Who is your pick right now to take it all in the classifications?
Oh boy.
Putting you on the spot. I'm sorry, but we can stick with 6A if you want to.
Yeah, no,
6A and 5A. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. We can. I had one gentleman was asking you about. Oh yeah, okay. Tim Thompson, Phil, what's your prediction on the Toombs County and Swainsboro game Friday? So why don't you take
That's one of my.
right quick?
Yep,
Oh,
that's
one
one
of
of
your
my
pick
picks.
six.
It is. That's one of my pick six games. It absolutely is.
Now, Colquitt
Um,
Valdosta is one of your pick six too, right? I'm gonna put you on
yeah.
the spot.
Yes.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
It
Okay.
sure is. Hang on
Yeah.
just a second. Hang on. Let me pull that up real quick, and I'll tell you for sure. Four score and 7 years ago. Let me see here. Give me just a second. Give me just a second. Give me just a second, guys. It'll take me just a second. All right. Let's see here. Da 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 da. Okay, here we go. All right, hang on.
All right. So, Phil, while you're looking for that, let's see. It is about that time. We only got just. We're actually at 7. So, um, I do want to say you asked me who I thought about 6A. Of course, before I could get to answering that, Stephen K. Wynn, his four: Grayson, Buford, Valdosta, Carrollton. Uh, you know, Stephen K. Wynn, I think those are great choices. I do think Grayson and Buford will be favored. I think Carrollton, and then is it Valdosta or is it Lowndes in that mix? But I think I think that's a great way. That's a great way to sum it up. I think in 5A, um, I think TCC, Gainesville, Milton. Well,
Okay.
TCC, Gainesville, Hughes, Milton. Those are my four. I mean, I don't know. You can mix them up, not necessarily to put them in an order, so to speak.
All right. Yeah.
The only thing that I do want to make sure I get out there, Phil, because we got to go here in a minute, is
Yeah, I found my pick six, by the way.
is
Go ahead.
uh, is the Worth County Rams. You know, my
Yeah.
hometown school. I'm rooting for the Rams. Hopefully, I mean, it's my hometown. I
I
got to be
love
rooting
it.
for them. So anyway, so right quick,
Yeah.
Phil, your pick six is
All right. So Valdosta, Colquitt County. I like Valdosta 28-21. Lee County. So we were going to find the which game? Toombs County Swainsboro is what he asked me about,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Okay. All right. Toombs County Swainsboro. Boy, this is as big as it gets. Defending Class 1A Division State 1 champion. Toombs County going to travel to Swainsboro, Mark, to take on the undefeated Tigers. Okay, Friday night. And the Bulldogs' only loss this year has come to Class 5A Rome. Now that's stepping it up there, Mark, right? Little old Toombs County going to Rome, playing at Barron Stadium. They lose, but that's the only one that they've lost. So here we go. Region opener for both. This is the Region 3 1A Division 1, Mark. I'm picking Toombs County to win at 21-14 over Swainsboro to hand Swainsboro their first loss of the year.
Okay, all right. Well, give us the other ones on the pick six right quick.
I like Worth County to beat Thomasville 42-38.
Okay, you got that one being close.
I like Pierce County to beat Cook 30-14. I like Lee County to bounce back. By the way, Lee County, Mark, on a very rare 2-game losing streak. I've got to research and find out when the last time that happened.
Okay.
But I like Lee County winning 21-18
And who
over
are they
Coffee.
playing? Over
Coffee.
Okay.
Mhm.
Well, so you're
Coffee's,
not
yep.
thinking that, obviously Coach Fabrizio being out, your leader's not there. Uh, you know, sometimes it may motivate those players. You never know.
Yeah, that's a good point. Now, in truth, I made the picks, before, the announcement came out about Coach Fabrizio. But I'm going to stay with my pick. I'm going to stay with Lee County still winning that game. Coffee's young this year. They'll be back under Mike Coe. But I like Lee County in this one. I like Lee County to bounce back. I just don't see them losing 3 games in a row, Mark. That's one kind of my stipulations there. But Valdosta, Colquitt County, Mark, and for our viewers, who do you think I picked, Mark? Let me get your score. I'm going to put you on the spot.
Now, you just told us that you picked Valdosta.
Oh, okay. So, all right. I don't know if I gave you the score or not. Did I give you the score?
28-21.
Okay. I'm sorry. I couldn't remember. Yeah, my bad. Valdosta 28-21. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then last but not least, Richmond Hill and Camden County.
Okay. All right. What you got there?
I'm going to go with Richmond Hill 31-28 to put Richmond Hill, Mark, at 2-0 in the region, and they'll sit atop Region 1-6A. Can you believe it?
Well, now they'll sit atop with Lowndes, right?
Mark, I can't ever slip anything past you, Mark.
Yeah, let's keep it real. It's at the top of Valdosta. Yeah,
you're right.
So
you're right.
Anyway, all right.
That's funny. I love it.
Yeah. All right. Well, listen, man. All right, it's been a good show tonight. Time kind of
it has been.
So, enjoyed it. Phil, I guess I will be back with you on Monday, and
Friday.
good chance I'll be back Friday, unless I skip off to a game somewhere. So
I got you, Mark. Great job running point tonight. By the way, excellent. Well done. Well done.
Yeah. Well, listen, man, enjoyed it. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. As always, man, we enjoy talking high school sports here at ITG Next. It's a great time, Jay. It's a great time to be a high school football fan, right?
Yeah, I want to give big thanks to Dr. Kevin Collins, the Houston Clinic, a team doctor for Colquitt County and Valdosta State University, sponsor of our show, Extra Point.
Yep, Dr. Collins always does a great job, and shout out to him. So, Phil, I guess until Friday, everybody enjoy the rest of your Monday, and we'll see you back on Friday.
Okay, Mark, guys, have a great week. Enjoyed y'all tuning in tonight. We'll